So I'm seeing a whole lot of people who are really upset about the Kennedy Center Awards and seeing their heroes up there with Donald Trump. And I've seen so many people sharing pictures of like Stallone or George Strait or the band Kiss alongside Trump. And they'll say things like, oh man, my childhood is destroyed. You know, these people were my heroes. I looked up to them so much. I love their work. Why are they up there, kissing Trump's ass? And I totally understand where you're coming from. I mean, we would all love to see them tell Donald Trump to fuck off. But the truth of the matter is, they're never going to do that. And I just wanted to talk about why and kind of give my perspective on these things. Again, I totally understand why someone would be disappointed, but there's a whole lot of it that we have to stop and pause and take into consideration when it comes to these things. You take someone like George Strait. Now, he never wrote his own songs. He wasn't a songwriter. But George Strait, he picked songs out that best fitted his style. And you may have related to those songs. I know I have. Back when I played in bar bands, we always covered the song Troubadour. And I always loved that song and related to every word in it. But George Strait himself hadn't lived that life in years when he put that on an album. And when he gets together today to make an album and puts it out into the world, he gathers songs together that fits the George Strait style and he puts them out there into the world. But he's not lived those songs in years. That's not anything he's ever lived through in a long, long time. So his life is not going to be affected in no way, shape, or form by another Trump presidency. If anything, he's just going to get a tax break out of the deal. So he hears that he's going to be honored, and he shows up to accept the honor because he's honored to get it. And the fans, the people that buys tickets to his shows and the people that relates to his music, there's a lot of them that's upset over it. They would like to see him be more punk rock about it and tell him to fuck off, but he's not going to because he don't have to, and because Donald Trump's presidency doesn't affect him the way that it does people like me and you. You know, I never was the biggest fan of the band Kiss. They're not really my style. I've got friends and people I love dearly that just loves Kiss, and so I tolerate them for them. And I understand that, again, you may have really enjoyed Kiss's music and you may have partied hard to their music or whatever the hell you did. But again, they've not lived a life of struggling in a long, long time. They've not been at the bottom in a long, long time. And then, the one that kind of stung for me was Sylvester Stallone, but he stung for me a long time ago, actually. I really got into watching his new show, Tulsa King, and I was really enjoying it. I was really enjoying every second of it. Thought it was a great show. I loved seeing him in that style of a character. It was different for him because he wasn't just playing the same old thing. And I was like, this is kind of different. I like this. And I was enjoying it. And then I saw him up praising Trump and praising, him coming back from his assassination attempt and comparing him to George Washington and Abe Lincoln. And I was just so disgusted by it. I was so disgusted that I was like, it kind of just tarnished the whole show for me. And I wasn't able to keep going. What you have to do in these situations is you have to ask yourself, can I separate the person's art from the fact that they're not going to call out Trump the way I am? And if you can do that, if you can separate the two, then maybe you'll be able to enjoy a Kiss album. Maybe you'll be able to enjoy a George Strait song, and maybe one day I would be able to resume Tulsa King. But I totally understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling, because when people write songs and people create art that you relate to and that helps you get through the darkest times of your life, you just kind of want those people to have your back at all times. But what you got to understand is they're businessmen. They're rich businessmen who are going in there and they're making albums, they're making shows, they're making movies that they think will sell in that particular political climate in that day and time. That's what they're doing. And so you can't really hold those people to the standards of a hero and expect them to never let you down, because they're going to let you down. And the truth is, anyone out there can let you down. Absolutely. That's just life, because we put expectations on certain people and we set these standards for certain people that we expect them to live up to. And then when they don't, we're really disappointed that they didn't think the way that we did about a certain issue, or they didn't take a certain stand that we took. I totally understand why people would be upset. Like I said, it disgusts me too. But again, these people are rich people who are making a living in this country. They're making a comfortable living, and they've not struggled like you have in years. They've not felt what you've felt in years. It's just another day at the office for them. And I hate to be that blunt about it, and I'm not trying to be, cold-hearted or write it off, because I've had friends messaging me saying, "Man, I love Stallone. I love Kiss. I love George Strait. What the hell? What am I going to do now?" Well, like I said, you got to make the choice of whether or not you're going to be able to hang in there and still support their work. That's pretty much what you have to come down to. That's one of the reasons why I listen to a lot of underground music. That's one of the reasons why that I listen to a lot of people that you may not even know their name, because there's more authenticity there. And there still are artists out there that have integrity, and there's still artists that have authenticity, and there's still artists that are putting out really good music, and there's people that are writing protest songs. Shout out to the Drive-By Truckers; they're my favorite. They're out there putting out great music, and making albums and making statements that I feel are very timely, and that's where I spend my money. I don't go spend it on Kiss or George Strait, which I never did anyway to start with when it comes to them two. I never really was fans of either one of them. But I sort of respected what they did in their craft, in their world. I mean, George Strait has been wearing the same pair of pants and the same shirt and same hat for 40 years or longer, and just made an authentic sounding style of urban cowboy kind of country. And then Kiss has always just been the Beatles on steroids in a comic book. And so, it's just they've all been intertwined, into American culture. Same with Sylvester Stallone. Every time I see him, I see Rocky Balboa, and I'm still a sucker for those Rocky movies. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I'd ever be able to throw those away, just because they're some of my favorite binge watching ever. I just really enjoy it. And when I sit down to watch Rocky, it's Brando in the 80s watching it again. It's the kid in me watching it again. And I try not to think about the actor and his political opinions. I just try to block that out. I know that's not easy, and I'm not saying you should do it. I'm really not saying that you should do it either way. I think you should follow your gut, and if you want to throw away every George Strait album you ever bought or throw away every Kiss shirt, go for it. And if you want to separate the two up and continue to enjoy the music, do that, because these days, we live in such a dark time, and it's so uncertain, and we don't know where we're going to be at tomorrow, that I don't sit and criticize things near as hard as I used to, as far as like musical taste. Those things. Used to years ago, you'd hear me sitting and bitching about bro country, or that ain't country music, or whatever the case may be, and I've just long left those arguments in the garbage can, because it's like, do whatever it takes to get you through the day. I don't like the way Spotify operates. I think it robs the musicians. Absolutely. It's not the greatest platform in the world, but all the platforms are crooked as fuck, really, when it comes right down to it. And if people just needs to listen to music, and that's what you got on your phone, and you need to hear the song, to keep from falling into bad habits, or you need to keep listen to a song to help lift you up in the day, and that's the most convenient way you can reach for it. It's like, I'm not going to sit here and run people down and criticize what they like and don't like at a time like this. I think those arguments have taken a back seat. I would love to get back to arguing about what really makes country music, but I just don't have it in me to fight that fight anymore when we're up against a treasonous dictator. I don't care if you think Luke Bryan's country or not. You're wrong, but I'll tell you why later when the dust settles. It's like, I just don't have it in me anymore. And I appreciate everyone for sticking with me here on the channel, and I understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling. But just understand that these people, they may have made something that meant something to you, but that doesn't mean that they're going to fight the same battles as you, and it doesn't mean that the things that mean something to you is going to matter to them. Like I said, someone like a George Strait, and I'm not even knocking him. I don't mean it as a knock when I say it. It's just that he's not lived the life that he sings about in his songs in years. They're just a marketing plan these days. So you got to realize that maybe it meant something to you. Maybe the song resonated. But I guarantee you, when they were sitting around picking out the songs, it was like, well, which one will help round out this album, and which one will help me stay true to my style, and which one might resonate with my fans. It wasn't, oh man, I came out from a really bad experience last night and I wrote this down. He's not done that. So, if you're a country music fan and he just pissed you off, go check out Tyler Childers. It's like, go listen to his music, or listen to Jason Isbell. Although I don't know that he's country, who gives a shit about the label? Just go listen to Jason Isbell. You'll feel better about it. You'll thank me later, and he won't disappoint you because he's a decent human being. So anyway, I understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling. I felt that way years ago when I saw Charlie Daniels on Fox News. I loved his albums. I still do. And I still listen to Charlie Daniels music. I've never let it go. I can't. Hank Williams Jr.'s Whiskey Bent and Hellbound. I know he said some really harebrained political stuff, but Whiskey Bent and Hellbound's possibly the greatest country album ever made. So I've not been able to throw that one away yet. But I understand it if you do. And again, I'm not here to pass judgment on people's musical taste at a time like this. Get through this crazy world however you can and keep your head up.